Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast for our thriving business and life. And we are live on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today I'm really excited. We are starting a new series. And this series is called the Next Chapter series, when you know that you are meant for more. And so during this series, we're going to be talking about signs that you've outgrown your current chapter and are ready for more. How to navigate the uncertainty, the change, the transitions with greater confidence and trust, and how to align with your next level of purpose, fulfillment, and soul-led success. So today we are going to be jumping into episode 1, and we're going to be talking about the signs today that you've outgrown your current chapter. So today we'll talk more about common signs that you've outgrown your chapter in your life, in your career, in your relationships, or your business. Why you're feeling restless, dissatisfied, or called to something more, and that this is a sign of growth, not failure. And how to begin listening to the inner guidance that is leading you towards your next chapter with greater trust and confidence. So I am very excited that we're starting this new series. And what I really want you to open to, I invite you that what you're feeling right now is an invitation from your soul, and that you are being prepared for your next chapter. And so let's jump in and talk about how to understand your life's chapters. Now, first of all, I really feel like our lives, we are books. We have many chapters in our lives. And what's happening, I really feel energetically that this is happening on the planet to many of us. And so what I want you to know is you are not alone. And you feeling that there's something that is calling you. And what I want you to know is that each chapter in your life has a purpose. And some of the chapters in your life have been about learning. Some of them have been about building. Some of you, if you're leaders, they may be about leading. And what happens is that once a chapter is starting to close, like you're coming towards the end of a chapter, just like in a book, you start seeing signs, and it no longer fits who you are and who you're becoming. But what happens is very often you may be feeling challenged to move on. Maybe you're not knowing what you need to move into the next chapter. And so you may have outgrown it already, but you're not sure what's next. And you're not really sure what's right for you. And you may stay in a chapter because it's familiar. And so I have a question for you. And the question is, where in your life are you holding on simply because it's comfortable or familiar? So I invite you to reflect upon that. Where are you holding on in your life simply because it's comfortable or familiar? So we have some questions that have come in, and let's go to the questions. The first one is from Misty. Can you be called to more and still work on what is already? And yes, definitely. So know that sometimes you may not be totally complete with the end of one chapter, and you can feel this energy calling you towards something new, your next chapter, but you may need to finish certain things in your life. You may need to complete certain tasks before you're ready to go to the next. I'm going to say the next adventure. The next chapter is your next adventure. And what happens is the fact that you're sensing, and I just really want to acknowledge you, Misty, you're sensing that there's something you're being called for. And you also know that you have tasks that need to be completed. So all of you who are feeling that you know that there is something else wanting to come through, and you are feeling that calling, and yet there are still tasks to be completed in this current chapter. And Mickey, so hopefully that helps, Misty. Mickey says, do we get to write the chapters? And do others get to co-write without our permission? Okay, so Mickey, yes, you do get to write your next chapter. So I'm going to give you two answers to that question. Yes, you get to write your next chapters. And I'm also going to support you that you want to follow your intuition. And we're going to be talking about that through the series. You want to be following your intuition because your soul is sending you signs for that next chapter. And what I say to all of you, and I say to my clients, is you want to write the chapters that are for your highest and greatest good. And it's when you're following your intuition and following your soul that you are following your highest and greatest good. Now, you can write a chapter and you can move to the next chapter, and if you're not following the guidance, you may get blocked, or there may be more obstacles than you had foreseen. So there's a lot of things that can be happening. But again, what I want to support all of you in knowing is, if you follow your intuition and get guided towards the next step, and we're going to be talking about that today as well, then you're moving towards that next chapter. Do people come in and co-write without our permission? So what I say to you around that is one word: boundaries. No one no one has the right to co-write your chapter without your permission. Now, if you're giving away your power to other people, you may feel they're co-writing the chapter without your permission, but that's not what's for your good and your highest good. And it's about learning to say no, or learning to not have them be able to do things without your permission or without it feeling right to you. Now, when you're in a relationship, and people are going to do people things, and sometimes you're not always going to be able to prevent somebody from doing something that perhaps doesn't feel good to you. But the most important thing is, because you do write chapters together with other people on your journeys, the most important thing is that you've taken back your power, you've empowered yourself. It's when it's feeling in your power, and then it's asking yourself, is there any action? Because if it feels like it's not feeling right to you, you need to ask yourself, is there any action that I need to take that doesn't feel in alignment with me around what this person is doing? And then it's your responsibility to take care of yourself and do what you need to do to move forward in a chapter, either together, or you may look, maybe that's one of the chapters that have ended. Maybe it's ending a relationship. Now, I'm not saying end your relationship. There's a lot of decision making and a lot of stuff that needs to be looked through, processed to see if that's for your highest good. Because a lot of times when you're in a relationship and you're having problems or challenges, I say challenges in a relationship, what I feel is your souls are calling you to look at what's going on so that each of you can create your highest good as individuals and together in a relationship. So just some things to think about. And Mickey asked, what do we know? How do we know when we need to move on to the next chapter versus the next page? I like that. That's cute. Well, I'm hoping that as I go through this show, that's going to give you clarity. And as we go through the series, that you'll get more clarity if it's the end of a chapter or just the next page. And that's about also tuning into your intuition and kind of feeling, all right, well, And here's the thing, you may be ending a chapter in one area of your life, and maybe the next chapter, or maybe you're just turning a page in another. Just all these things for you to all think about. Okay. Misty asks, are the chapters something we get to choose, or are we following a workbook we just get to fill in some things? You are all so cute. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to how I answered the question before. I'm going to get very spiritual on you, because I there's that spiritual part of me, and I love talking about the soul realm. So before you come into this lifetime, you make decisions on where you want to move towards. What are the obstacles? What are the challenges that you need to overcome as souls to learn the most lessons, or to learn what you need to learn in this lifetime? And so there is a divine plan, And again, I want to remind you, you all have free will. Okay. So you do have free will. The way that I like to look at it, and the way that I like to, in terms of my own life, and I'll share this with you so that maybe it will be helpful for you, and you can take this or leave this. Okay. So the way that I look at it is I say to myself, well, I want to live my highest and greatest good. And what I mean by that is like, I really feel we have different destinies that we can fulfill. And I want to be on the highest, greatest path towards the destiny for my and everybody. Because I really believe that when you're following your highest good, you are following the highest good for all. And so that's what I encourage you to ask yourself as we go through this series is, what's my highest good through all of this? So that's what I would invite you all to do. And so are you following? If you're, it's like, are you following a workbook? You're following potential destinies. You're following potential possibilities. Okay. Because you have free will. You can make decisions. Sometimes there are more forks in the road where either way is for, let's say, a good for you. And either way, okay, I want you to know you're not getting it wrong. And either way, you're going to learn. Either way. And that's why I invite you to ask, is there one chapter or is there one decision or one way of going that would be for my highest good? And so the workbook is your life and your decisions and following your plan that resonates with you most. Okay, so hopefully that supported you, Misty. If you have any other questions, or Mickey, if you have any other questions about what I just said, let me know. And then again, you may have some of these questions may be answered as we go through the today's show and also the series. And then Charles says, this sounds like we need to take a good look at what is really happening in our life. And yes, Charles, I really invite you and all of you to look at what, and again, remember I've said in past shows, when you're following your heart, when you're feeling things in your heart, it's actually your soul calling to you. It's actually your guidance. So what I support you in doing is to look at the areas in your life that feel right, or maybe there is a restlessness, or maybe there's something new that wants to come through and you're not sure. And here's the thing, you may not be ending a whole chapter. You may be beginning a new section of the chapter that you're in. And that's just something that I also want you to all think about. And Misty asks, do we have to balance spirit, mind, and body for best results? And the answer to that question is definitely yes. For your best results is going to be a balance and alignment, because when you're in that alignment, you can feel and tune into your intuition that will support you in moving towards your highest and greatest good. So yes, the answer to that question is most definitely yes. So one of the sign is to really look at if there's a restlessness that won't go away. And one of the signs that you've outgrown a chapter or an area or a chapter in one part of your life is that there's a persistent restlessness. And you may find yourself thinking, something's feeling off, or I should be happier than I am, or I know there's something more. You're feeling that calling, or why am I not feeling fulfilled right now? And what I want you to know is you may be judging yourself. And what I really, really want to support you is this is not about judging you. And it's not about judging yourself for what you're feeling. This restlessness is actually your soul and your soul's way of waking you up and calling you in new directions. And it's about expansion, and it's about you moving into new arenas or new areas or new possibilities. And your soul wants you to know that there is more available for you in this life. And examples of this is a nurse. Suppose you're a nurse and you have this sense that you know that you're meant to do coaching. Or maybe you're a therapist and you know that you're being called to speak and teach. Or maybe you're a woman who wants to start your own business. Or maybe you feel that you need to write a book, or that there's something else that you have been wanting to do and you keep pushing it away. And I'm saying your soul is calling you now to listen. And restlessness is the first whisper. So another sign number 2, what used to excite you no longer does. So when you start feeling drained about something that you used to feel really energized and really excited about, that if something starts feeling heavy, maybe it's conversations or routines or goals or environments, it doesn't mean that something is wrong. It means that you've outgrown something and that you are no longer the person who started this chapter. And so I invite you to ask yourself, what am I forcing myself to stay connected to that no longer feels aligned? Okay, so everybody breathe. And I'm going to ask you the question again. What am I forcing myself to stay connected to that no longer feels aligned? And I invite you to think about it and to explore what that could mean for you. And then sign number 3, you feel called towards something you can't fully explain. And so you may be sensing that, and this is also a question, like Misty was talking about, she was feeling that there's something more, but she also knows that she needs to complete this chapter. So I want you all to know that you may be called to something and you may not be able to explain it yet, and that's okay. So I have many clients saying, I know there's something else, but I'm not sure what it is. And so what happens is your next chapter often arrives as a feeling. It's a feeling before you have a plan. So I'm going to say that again. Your next chapter often arrives as a feeling before you get a plan. And that's why it's important for you. And this is a really powerful sign. That's why you want to listen to those feelings that we were talking about before, that restlessness, the dissatisfaction, or a sense that there's something more for you. Listen to that and know that you're being called. And it's okay if you don't have another plan. It's just you being called into another direction, a new chapter, a new way of being, a new you. So, and you may feel drawn. Maybe it's about starting a new business. Like what I love to do is I love to work with women who are holistic and they want to start their holistic business or even take their holistic business to new levels. And I love doing that because I believe that if you are one of those women, you are here to serve. Your soul is calling you to this new level, this new chapter. Or you may be called to write a book. Or maybe you're being called to do more speaking or teaching. Or maybe you're being called to move. Do you know when you move, you're moving to another level of your life, another direction, another level? Or maybe you're being called to something new that you don't even know what the new is. You may not know, and it's okay. Or it may be another level of deepening your spiritual journey. That's also like you're feeling this call like, oh, I need to explore my soul more. I need to learn more about my perhaps destiny or more about what I'm here to do or my life purpose, my soul purpose and all of that. I want you to know your mind wants certainty and your soul offers you the guidance and it's step by step. You usually will not have the whole plan and you may not have the plan as I said before, but you may have the next step or you may get that intuitive hit that there's one step to take. And so what I want you to know, you don't necessarily have the whole roadmap. You just need to take the next step. And that's what I invite you to explore. And what I'm going to also share with you is, okay, so we have some, Mickey says, there is something this is something that needs time to think about, not a gut reaction, to be honest. So, Mickey, I totally agree with you. I am not saying, oh, poof, all of you, you better figure it all out in this moment. I'm inviting you. I'm doing this series for you, for all of you, so that you can start exploring and start tuning in and start looking at, maybe there is a next chapter for me. Maybe I don't know the plan, but maybe these feelings I'm feeling are a sign that there is something new that wants to come through. And I am inviting you to take your time to be an exploration, breathe and allow this to unfold. Okay? So yes, take your time, please. And I'm hoping that as we go through the series, this might be helpful for you as well to be able to get more clarity. And so, yes, take your time and know that each one of you need to take your time, what feels right for you, how it feels right for you. That's empowering yourself. And I always want you all to feel empowered. And so, and Misty says, not everyone embraces their feelings. So, yes, you are right. Not everybody embraces their feelings. And so, what I am inviting all of you is to start embracing your feelings. It's learning to embrace your feelings. One feeling, one step at a time. And that's why it's listening and listening to the feelings coming up. And Misty asks, how long is the course of study to be in the holistic business? So if you want to start a holistic business, it depends. It depends on where you're at and what you need. And so that's what one of the things that, you know what, that is the perfect question to lead into my next thing that I was going to share. And I want to invite you all to do an intuitive breakthrough session with me. And during that session, we are going to explore what it is you need to do to move into your next chapter. And if it is starting that business, then that's all part of the discussion of what needs to happen next for you. So you're going to go to inspiredandempoweredliving.com/session. So you go to the name of the show, inspiredandempoweredliving.com/session. And definitely schedule that session and we can talk more about where you're at and where you may be. Your soul may be calling you to start your next chapter. And I invite you to have the session, and no pressure, that this is a discussion to see if it's a right fit for us to work together and how to support you further. So, and let's go to the next sign. So the next sign is that your values, sign number 4, your values are changing. So what happens is sometimes when you've outgrown your chapter, it's because your priorities have shifted. And things that once mattered to you may not matter to you at all anymore. And so, like, for example, you may begin valuing freedom over security, or maybe you value more meaning, fulfillment over status, or maybe you're valuing following your purpose over approval, getting the approval of others. Or maybe it's about alignment, being in that alignment over having to achieve. And what happens is that when the values are changing, when your values are changing, you may start feeling an internal conflict. And so there's a part of you that just wants to stay safe and stay the same. And then there's another part of you that wants to evolve. And you know that you're feeling that calling, that it's time to evolve. And so the question is, it's about who you are becoming. Because really, this is about you becoming the next version of you. The next chapter requires you to be a different you. And also when you're in between chapters and you feel like something new is wanting, but you may need to be in the place that you are completing the tasks like we talked about with Misty, it may be that you are sensing and you're in the becoming. See, when you're in between, and I really believe that we're always in the becoming. It's, I don't believe, we are infinite beings. You are an infinite being, and you're always evolving. And so the what happens is your next chapter is part of that evolving. And you are becoming the you that you need to be to move into that next chapter. And so it's about, and that's again, this is why your soul is calling you. It's about growth. And that's why I also said there's no wrong answers, because even if you take one path or you take the other, you may end up at the same place, but at a different time or in a different way. There's always all these different possibilities. So just know it's all part. And sign number 5, you keep receiving the same messages again and again. So what happens is your soul will keep giving you messages again and again and again. And what happens, like you'll keep hearing the same theme, the same things. Maybe different people are saying the same things or similar things. Or maybe you're finding books and they're saying something similar. Or maybe you're listening to podcasts that are something similar. I'll share this with you. Opportunities appear. You can't stop thinking about a particular idea. And I tell my clients, when your soul has a message for you, it will keep repeating it until you get it. And so I'll share this with you. This was really cool. So I was feeling, and I'm always tuning into my intuition about what I'm going to do on the show. I always want to make sure that I'm following my guidance to give you what you need. And so I knew that I was being guided to do this next chapter series for you. And I felt really excited about it. And then what was really cool is that I get emails from different places that are bigger, have a bigger following, and they have their own podcasts, and they have like maybe famous people that have written books, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, so what ended up happening was that they're doing a show on the next chapter. And I was like, boom, right on. I was right on following my guidance. See, I like to get the confirmation validation too. I feel like we all need that. And so that was really cool to get that. So what I invite you to ask yourself now is, what message have you been receiving that you've been ignoring? So what message, ask yourself, what message have I been receiving that I've been ignoring? And here's the thing, you may be ignoring it a little bit, or maybe you're not even aware that there's a message that you've been ignoring. So what I invite you to do is that I invite you to look and open up. And this is all about what we were talking about before. This is not about getting it, figuring it out, boom, moment. And you may have an insight and a revelation as you're listening to the show. I would love that. And I would love to hear what happens for you as you do that. But I also want to invite you that this is a process, this is a journey. And I'm opening you to your next chapter. Whatever that is. It could be in your life. It could be in creating something new in your life, like starting a business or starting something that you haven't done that you've always felt drawn to or you always wanted to. That's part of you receiving a message that you keep getting again and again. And now this is about you listening to the calling, listening to the message. And so what happens is you may resist your next chapter, and you resist it because of different things. So what happens is when you're in resistance, resistance is another word for fear. And there's a saying, the more you resist, the more it persists. And again, that goes to what I was saying before, is when you're getting the message and you keep getting the message is actually going to get louder and louder and louder until you listen. So it's about learning to listen before your soul is screaming at you. I don't know if our souls scream at us, but what happens is, I will share this with you, is that what happens is if you don't follow it, you may have an experience where you can ignore it. Like you end up being let go of a job. And I remember I had to start my next chapter because I was scared. I was scared to let go of this job that I knew I needed to let go of, but I didn't know how. And so what ended up happening was I was let go. And yeah, it was budget cuts. As a social worker, they were cutting the budget. In nonprofits, that happens. But what I want to really remind you is that when you don't listen, things will happen in your life to make you listen. And that's not, it's about learning to listen before before it gets loud. But sometimes you may need the experience. Like I needed the experience of being let go to move into my next chapter. And so I want to remind you all, it's all okay. Your journey is beautiful and fine. This is all, I'm just giving you ideas and possibilities and things. So what happens is you may fear failure, or maybe you're fearing judgment, or maybe you're fearing disappointing others, or maybe you're fearing making the wrong decision or the uncertainty. And this is about learning to know that it's about knowing that there is a release and a let go, that you can't step into your next chapter if you're too tightly grasping to the old one. And there's a bridge. There's a bridge from one chapter to the other. And that bridge requires trust. It's learning to trust yourself, trust your intuition, and trust in the unfolding process. And so what I want to invite you is knowing that if you're ready for and wanting to explore your next chapter, and you need support, a coach, you need help, I'm here to support you and help you. And so that's why I'm offering the intuitive breakthrough session. And Rebel, please put it up on the screen. And it's, again, the name of the TV show for those of you listening to the podcast, Inspired and Empowered Living.com/session. Session. So if you're wanting to explore and you're ready to start moving into your next chapter, definitely I would love to connect with you more and support you in what are the steps that you need to take for you to move into your next chapter. And next week, all right, next week. And what I'm inviting you is you may want to go through the show. Some of you have your journals, and definitely keep your journals. You may want to come back to the show either on the video or the podcast and listen to the questions again and write them down. And I invite you to reflect on them, which can help you to move through whatever you need to. And next episode is all about why your soul is calling you forward. And so we're going to be talking about the signs that your soul is guiding you towards new levels of growth and possibility, and the difference between fear-based thinking and your authentic soul guidance, and why your desire for more purpose, freedom, fulfillment, and impact is a sign of expansion rather than dissatisfaction. So join us next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, my YouTube channel, and the podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more, so that you can follow us in episode 2 on why your soul is calling you forward. And I am wishing you an inspired and empowered day and an inspired and empowered week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.